Hello and welcome. I'm Stephanie Fern Stark, and I'm here today to share what I've been discovering with Metatron's cube and Metatron's cube numbers. Metatron's cube comes from the fruit of life, which is in the flower of life, the image behind the cube that you're looking at. And we see a lot of divine intelligence within this Metatron's cube, I think. In these transmissions, I do not claim authorship. I am the receiver of the information. The information is original because it is returning to the origin, the all. I believe it has been known before, even though I'm not finding it anywhere online. Ideas shared have an intent to connect in joy for the betterment of all. I have come to know that the magic happens in allowing the fun play in the sacred space of life. And as we go on this journey, I'm going to share just real quick. This has come to me through reflecting on the cube as I was painting it, actually painting the fruit of life, which is Metatron's cube. Here we begin to look at the numbers of the cube as a review before we go on and see how the cube will draw itself without using nodal points and a ruler. We start here and we notice that there are double sixes and double threes. We're not seeing the 0, 9. There is a multi-dimensionality in this that is not shown. My first video was more in-depth on the numbers, so if you haven't seen that, please take a look if any of this is interesting to you. We see two cubes actually in the fruit of life, and that's showing that we have a chiral or a secondary mirroring cube that naturally occurs. For our first cube, we will use the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then go 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we see we utilized one of the 3s and one of the 6s, and the second 3 and 6 is for the chirals. We see here in the chiral, I started to realize that I was given all the number sequences and a means in which the cube actually populates itself, just like it draws itself. To show you more of what I'm saying, let's look deeper here. We see that if we add adjacent numbers in the first ring, it gives us a triad of 3s and 6s. So we have a 1 and a 2 equaling 3, and then we have the 1 and the 5 equaling a 6. It's important to point out here that Metatron's cube works infinitely with numbers, but we're working with digital roots. So when we get to the next sequence, we have the 5 with the 7, and that equals 12, but the digital root would be 3. So I'm not going to finish going around the ring with that because you're seeing the pattern there. We'll go to the next stage of how it populates the numbers itself. Imagine the outer concentric circle being free of numbers. If we take the 3 with the 2, we equal 5, and then the 6 with the 1 equals a 7, and so forth as we go around. Real quickly, I'm going to point out the other two sequences that we see in Metatron's cube numbers. There are two of them. We have a low to high sequence. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we go clockwise, we would see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we might expect a 5 down here, but we're noting that it flipped. That was a very important synchronicity clue that I was getting over and over to populate the cube, and that is how we continue that low to high sequence. The other sequence we are seeing are the diagonal numbers. So we would have the 5s and 4s in a cube across from one another, the chiral, the same thing. All of them, we see the 1 and the 8 together, the 5 and the 4, and the 2 and the 7. And I did put the 3s and the 6s in here, which also is our 0 point. And we're going to look into the Metatron's cube and notice that it is a matrices of numbers from our cubes, and it starts at the 0 point, and once the 0 has turned into a 1, that point is also our 9, and that holds strongly throughout our matrices. We see that using the adjacent numbers from one row, the matrices naturally populates the sequencing in the next row, and that will continue all the way down. The second half is the chiral cube from the concentric circle that we were looking at with the outer 6 numbers in them. And then once the whole sequence has completed, it will continue to repopulate in the same order. So we don't have to go farther than that, just one set of the cube and the chiral. Here we add the 1 and the 2, as I was saying, and we get a 3. If we add a 2 and a 3, a 5. We are also using the digital roots here, so with the 6 and the 7 as a 12, 6 and a 7 is a 13, we reduce that to 4. And that would happen the same way. Chiral means that two images do not coincide with each other. So you can think of your hand, a left hand and a right hand. We see that in the matrices as well, where our first row we're going 1 through 9, and then we see that has shifted or flipped on us, and we have the 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back to 9. Here we're seeing the polygonal chains that are created using the rows of Metatron's cube matrices. And for the first one, we see that we start at the 0 point, and then it might be easier down here, we start at the 0 point, and then we go up to the 1 and over to the 2, so that's what I'm doing here. We're going 0 point, 1, 2, 3, the 4, all the way to the 5, back to the 6, we go to the 7, to the 8, and end at the 9. That gives us, again, our first polygonal chain. We look and do the same thing in the chiral using the first row, and we get a mirror. So to do that, we start at the 8, go to the 7, 6, 5, 4, back to the 3, and then we're going to go to the 2 and to the 1 and back to the 9. So we end at the 9 here. And we do see that they are mirrors of each other. We can continue this with all of the rows. In this one, we are starting at the 3, which is in the middle point. And the middle point, we remember from the fruit of life, is all the points 3, 6, and 9. So we start at the 3, then we go, where's my little cursor? We start at the 3, and then we're going to go to the 5, go down to the 7, into the 9. We'll go over to the 2, go down to the 4, and then we're going to go into the 6, and then we'll go down to the 8 and back up and end at our 1 point. Now again, we are continuing our pattern and using the chiral of that row to get this reflection over here. We start at the center, which was also the 3 point, interestingly. And so we go from the 6, we go to the 4, we go up to the 2, and then we go to the 9, we'll go down to the 7, back up to the 5, into the 3, we're going to go to the 1, and we will end at the 8. So I've got little gold dots to denote where we end, and we see they are kind of an opposite spin of one another. Rather than going through each of the 9 rows with you, I thought you probably had the pattern going, and you can do this on your own. It's fun to do. I did provide all the rows here for us to look at real quick. I like seeing that the 3, 6, and 9 kind of have one reflection, and then the 2, 5, and 8, another reflection, and then the 1, 4, and 7, also another reflection. And of course, voila, the chirals do the same thing, and we see just the different starting and stopping points of those. And here I have given you a side by side so you can compare and see that they are indeed mirrors of one another. And you can probably guess that it has drawn itself through divine intelligence and created the Metatron's cube itself. To create this, I just put all of those polygonal chains together, and then I filled the areas with the 11% opacity every time I was adding, and it naturally leaves the varied section where it's not even using the same color. You don't end up filling the whole thing with the same colors. It does give you a variation in colors. So one is the chiral and one is the actual original cube, as it were. And we're going to continue this fun. At least I smile every time I see that it does this because I hadn't known it. And I would be curious to know and leave a comment if you knew that Metatron's cube had a number sequence in it and that that number sequence can be used for Metatron's cube to draw itself. This time, as I said, we're using the vertical rather than the horizontal rows. So we are going to start this time with a 1, going down to the 3, going down to the 8. We'll go all the way over to the 2, back to the 3. We go to the 4 point and stop at the 4 point for a minute, back to the 9 and back up to the 2. And that gives us our first vertical polygonal chain in this sequence. We do the second one from the chiral, again the vertical rows. We start at the 8 point, and I'm sorry, blah blah blah. Yes, we start at the 8 and then we go to the 6, then we're going to go up to the 1, and then we're going to go all the way to the 7. We're going to the middle 6 point, going out to the 5, staying at the 5, going back to the 9, and ending at the 7. So we continue that as I did the first. And again, I know that you have received the patterning of that. So we've done the vertical rows in both the cube and the chiral, and we see again the reflections of each other from both cubes and also within the sequences 3, 6, and 9, giving us one reflection. The 2, 5, and 8, another reflection. And then we have the 1, 4, and 7. And again, you may have guessed what this is going to show us, but this matrices provides vertical coordinates that draws the Merkaba this time. And it does make me smile when I see the divine intelligence within this number and sequencing. Looking within, we see our inherent nature is intelligence. It is a consciousness of love, compassion, joy, and unity. I appreciate that technology is helping us in many ways. I use it in several ways here, but I've come to know that the human is the divine technology, and there is no other match for that. The divine consciousness is available 24/7 from within. It is always available to each of us. I know this to be true, and I hope it comes true for you if you haven't already experienced this. It's always a choice. For me, this has unfolded several ways, but most recently in the painting of this fruit of life and finding all of these numbers and everything unfolding on paper and pencil for me. So once again, we have added to information that AI was not previously knowing about this, and it will start populating and sharing this. The next video I have is an exciting adventure I see because it seemed apparent to me that others would have known this. So we are going to travel back in time and get a glimpse of that. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like if you would like to. Thanks.